Colette and I just both start crying. Everyone's like, why are you taking a toddler to Disney? Because
Don't take a 2-year-old to Disney.
ChatGPT created an itinerary for us.
They say don't meet your heroes. And I say, unless you're a toddler at Disney, meet your heroes, because it is the greatest experience, I think, for parents and for kids. That suspension of disbelief was fully present. Like, she just believed. Welcome back to the happiest podcast on earth, the Roamaroo Podcast. Here to talk about, can you guess?
Our first trip to Disney. Actually, it was our second.
It was our second.
But let's talk about your first trip to Disney and how fun it is. I mean, taking a toddler. The first thing is, let's talk about how everyone's like, why are you taking a toddler to Disney? Because
she's too young to remember.
She's not going to remember it.
Don't take a 2-year-old to Disney.
Should I keep the ears on?
I like it.
Okay.
I don't know. Up to you.
All right. It
might get annoying.
I can't really feel them because I have my headphones on. Yeah, the first thing people say is, why are you taking her to Disney? She's not going to remember it. Because the first time we took her, she was 1?
She was 1. She was about to be 2. Yeah.
Okay. Well, she's almost 2. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how amazing was it?
But do you remember it?
I remember it like it was yesterday because at the time, she was a huge fan of Moana. And we basically planned our whole trip around just doing the Moana visits and the Moana experiences. And we saw a photo of her. We have multiple photos, but like meeting at the Moana experience, which was in Animal Kingdom. You can meet her in multiple places.
Yeah.
But we met her at the Animal Kingdom, where you get to go into her like little hut, and she grabbed Scotland's hand and walked with her, and just how proud, but also like nervous and scared she was at that moment. And, Moana walks her through the whole thing. And in her mind, she is in Moana's house. Mm-hmm. She's talking to Moana. And maybe she won't remember it. I don't know. But
she still talks about it.
Yeah.
By the way.
Oh, yeah.
So, and they say don't meet your heroes. And I say, unless you're a toddler at Disney, meet your heroes, because it is the greatest experience, I think, for parents and for kids. And I asked that question, like, but do you remember about her being so young? Because the parents' experience matters too. This is a family experience, not just a child's experience. But for her eyes light up when she sees these people. She gets starstruck. These are her princesses. She loves princesses. And at the time when we went, when she was almost 2, she loved Moana. She loved Minnie Mouse. Like, to meet those people, she legit was like, that's Minnie Mouse. Oh my goodness. Like, there was that suspension of disbelief was fully present. Like, she just believed, it was amazing as a parent to see your child light up that much, to see them filled with love. And I know it's a manufactured experience. I understand that, but it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I totally buy into it.
It is so amazing. When we walked in there the first time with her, we walked into Epcot. And Colette and I just both started crying. There's they play this ethereal, it's not super dramatic music, but it just pulls you in. And it's not any specific music, like Disney song. You just walk in and you're just starting, you see the big golf ball. I don't know what they call it, the Epcot ball. And you immediately you go to your past and to your future all at once. It's like you see your childhood and your memories, be it watching Disney movies, be it going to the parks, whatever it might be, and then you see her childhood and her going through it. And you just I'm going to tear up kind of thinking of it. But both of us, we walked in and we're like, oh my God, we're here. We're at Disney. We did it because, let's be honest, getting a toddler to Disney is not an easy feat for the parents. It's tough, just schlepping everything there. But man, they do such a great job of just hitting that emotional chord so perfectly. And I'll remember that. And then I also laugh about, we walked up and we're like, and it was a character we didn't know, in the in the grass, and we're like, I think that's Moana. I don't know. And then Scotland was like, oh, look at this, it's so cool. So. It's, what do you remember?
I remember so much, but I also want to say, why would you take a toddler to Disney? Because it's free.
It is free.
Under the age of 3, it's free. Yeah. And do you know how expensive Disney is?
Well,
we'll get into the pricing, but if you want me to stay on the emotional aspect of it, I think, listen, we're millennials. We were raised on Disney. And so to speak to what your point was about, you remember your childhood and it's mixing with then your child's childhood. And it's just this like overwhelming feeling of past and present combining. And so there's still, the Little Mermaid ride, and there's all the rides from when we were little.
Dumbo, It's a Small World.
Yeah.
The teapots.
Oh, so, it's like you get to kind of relive a little bit of your childhood. And then there's just nothing better, though, than seeing your child's eyes.
And so basically it comes down to if you want to do it, do it. I mean, people will be like, you're wasting your money. And it's like,
not your money. Don't worry about it.
It's not your money. Don't worry about it. It's not cheap. I'll admit to that. It is not a cheap vacation. If you're staying at the park in one of those hotels, it's basically $500 a night, which there are benefits to that. If you're going into the park, it's $370 a day. Was that right? For the two of us?
Yeah, it was about $700 total.
For two adults.
Because
Scotland got in for free.
And that was only the single park pass. We didn't do the multi-park.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an expensive day. It really is. And then you go, well, what about naps? And I mean, we tried the go home and then let her nap and then come back. We've done that. We've also done the let's just try to stroller nap it, which didn't work for us.
Never has. I don't think it ever will.
But I think one little tip that really helped us out during this was ChatGPT created an itinerary for us.
Tell them about the prompts.
So obviously there's tons of blogs, and if you've never been to Disney or tried to book a trip, it is overwhelming to say the least, because there's so many parks, so many hotels, so many different systems, the apps, the restaurants, how you get into it. And we'll kind of put a link to some of the things that we've found, like mouse dining is very helpful for getting reservations if you want certain dining places. The Disney app is pretty helpful. We'll talk about some of the things that we found with it and how to navigate that with getting the Lightning Pass. But we used ChatGPT. We basically said, ChatGPT, what's up, dude? We've got a toddler who's almost 3, loves princesses. We're going to these parks. What should we do? And it created a great itinerary, and it was awesome because telling it that she loved princesses and she was a toddler, it didn't tell us to go on the big major rides. It broke down every single thing. Now, granted, it didn't take into account, how long the lines are, some things that you'd have to look at and be like, oh, that ride, for, the Elsa and Anna ride, unless you have the Lightning Pass, you're basically waiting an hour and a half to go on it. We didn't go on it. Even with the Lightning Pass, we couldn't get on it. So that's a really good way to start. Depending on the age of your children, you could be like, hey, whatever it is, I've got boy and girl, I've got 1, 2, this is what we want to hit. And it gives you a good breakdown of some things you can at least start with.
Yeah, because the blogs are overwhelming. The websites are overwhelming. And so let AI do a little bit of the virtual assistant for you.
Yes.
Parents, your time is valuable. So I think this was a huge helper in terms of just scrubbing those sites and figuring out what is really worth it. And then from there, it distills all this information and you can pick and choose and say, okay, that sounds cool. Or you can give it feedback and say, more princesses, please. Or are there any, is there a character dining that she might like? Character dining meaning dining with one of the characters at Disney. So I think it was such a helpful tool that we used when planning this trip. We didn't do it the last trip, but it was awesome. And I think something else to remember is Disney, it can feel and it might be a once in a lifetime trip. And so you put a lot of pressure on wanting to see it all, but don't let that ruin it for you. You're going to try to overpack your schedule. Just enjoy the things you see. It's kind of what Scott says with travel in general. Don't try to see everything, but enjoy everything you see. If
you had to design the ultimate first time Disney trip for a toddler, biggest impact, least stress, what would you say?
Biggest impact, least stress in terms of the rides? I thought the character dining was really great. I think choose a cool character dining experience I would say the Snow White character dining was really special. There were a couple of dwarves there.
It was Grumpy
and Dopey, and then the Queen was there, and Snow White, of course. And so I think it was high yield because of the experience, and also because you can get there directly. You can drive to the resort that it was at.
You wouldn't even have to stay at you wouldn't have to go to the hotel or go into a park for that one.
You don't have to go into a park. So oftentimes with these character dining experiences that are in a park, you have to have tickets to go to the park. So say, you go for 3 or 4 days to Disney. You're not going to actually go, well, I
wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend going into the park every single day. It's a lot of energy expenditure. But what you could do is go, say you're going Monday to a Friday. Go Monday, go Wednesday, and then Tuesday do your character dining with Snow White. That way you don't have to go into the park, but you still get that character experience. I would say that was a really impactful experience. We didn't get to go to the Cinderella table, which I think will be on our list next time. But
I think if I had the best trip, my thought would be plan 2 days with a break in between. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did. If you can afford it, try to stay at one of the hotels on the park, because then because the other thing is try to get going early and then take a break. So basically, get up there when the rope's dropping. Do some research to the park you're going, because, for example, Magic Kingdom, if you drive to the park, you have to, let's say they open it at 8:30. It's 8:30 or 9. You want to get there almost an hour before, because you have to get through security, and then you have to take either the tram, the monorail, or you have to take a boat to get in. So it's not just walk in, show your ticket, and you're in the park. It's a bit of an ordeal. And then we got flagged for additional screening, and so that took another 10-ish or so minutes. So so the ideal thing is stay at one of the hotels. So then you can also, I think you get early access to the park.
Yeah, there's some early access. Otherwise, you can pay for early access.
So, and you want to look at it as an energy time conservation, because everyone's going to tire out. So get up early, plan your trips, plan with the lightning pass and whatnot. Hey, we're going to hit these rides, meet this character, boom, boom, boom. And then just know that we're going to go back to the hotel and relax for a few hours, put our feet up, and then we're going to come back in the evening or afternoon, and then try to hit a few more things. And I think then take a day off. If you're up for it. And then I think taking the day off, because then when we're just going to hang around the hotel, we're not going to do anything, it allows you to decompress. It also allows you to appreciate what you just did and then look forward to the next day. So you don't have to go into your vacation being every single day is planned out. I know what I want to do, because you might be hey, that was too much. I want to slow down. And then the other thing is snacks. Take lots of snacks. Take a cooler full of snacks. You can bring in coolers of food, drink, whatever you want to. I think alcohol is the other thing you can't.
Yeah.
But get the snacks that the toddlers love. We were, what was it? The pretzels and
we went to the grocery store.
We went to the grocery store and just loaded up on all sorts of things.
Bagels and bananas and all the things, and pack extra, because you guys will eat it.
Yeah, it was surprising how much we ate. You're walking around and it's just I think it's also you're smelling all the smells of the funnel cake and all the candy, and so it's good to have treats that you want, because then you'll be less likely to be diving into. We still did it as well, but just not as often.
Right.
So I think that's kind of my first time, and I think that would be enough. If you did a 3-day trip with 2 days on and 1 day in between, you could definitely do more, but that's going to be, you're going to hit so much stuff and be so happy. I feel 3 days with a toddler, if you had 4 days there, and that would just be a little bit. They would love it. But
yeah, of course. Or maybe you're doing half days at that point, and that's still a lot. You can get a lot done from 8:30 to 1:30, especially when you're going and you have a lightning pass. And I do think, unless your toddler is known for their stroller naps, they're going to be overstimulated and they're going to be overwhelmed by all of the awesome action, and it's loud and there's characters and there's music. And I personally wouldn't recommend pushing through and trying to do a full day. I think it was a lot to do. So, spoiler
Well,
alert, we did that. I was also 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot. But I think, I spoke to my sister too, who's like she went to Disney every year with her, or every other year with her boys for many years. And I loved her setup. I was like, that's perfect. They would go early, first thing in the morning, in the early part of when the park opens, and they would stay and then go to lunch at their hotel. And they would stay at the Wilderness Lodge, which was, you could take, I believe, the monorail.
You take the monorail, yeah.
And then have lunch. They take a nap. Then in the afternoon, they go to the pool at the Wilderness Lodge, go swimming. And then if they have a character dining experience at night, they do that. But I was like, oh, best of both worlds. Like, you get that vacation pool, everybody gets some rest, but you get a full, 5 to 6 hours at the park. That's a lot.
Do you think the character dining is like too much?
Too much money or too much what?
Too much. I feel like some people would be like, oh, you're already doing the park and then we're doing the character dining. Yeah, I feel like
I think it was awesome.
Like you said, it's the best yield because, for example, like the princesses.
Yeah.
We got 5 princesses, and then the Chef Mickey we did the first time. Chef Mickey, if you have a toddler,
so cute.
You got to do Chef Mickey. You get to meet Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Pluto, and
Daisy
and Donald. It's basically those. So you get all the OGs, and
so cute.
Oh, it's some of the best. And then we did if you got a princess loving toddler like we do, we did the princess dinner in Norway.
Yes. And that was great.
Yeah, it was cool.
Because think about, if you want to go meet 5 princesses, which is what we met at dinner, think of the time it takes to, one, coordinate with where they are in the parks.
Yeah.
Because they're not all in one place. They're spread out across the park.
And they may not be there at that time.
And they might not be there at that time. And then there's long lines to meet these princesses. They're in high demand. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you get access to 5 princesses in one dinner, they come to you, your kid gets to meet them, take pictures with them. I think it's pretty good. They charge you for it for sure. It's about $70 an adult.
Yeah.
Not including tip. And so you're having, we're having $200 dinner. That's very expensive.
You just have to accept Disney is not.
But you just have to accept, yeah.
It's not cheap. But how about when we asked Scotland the last day, do you want to go meet Snow White? So we asked her, we go, hey, we had already met Snow White like two nights before.
At the princess dinner.
At the princess dinner. And we asked her, hey, do you want to go have dinner with Snow White? And her response was, we already met her. Why would we go? We already met her.
Like a jaded 2-year-old.
And I couldn't believe that attitude already. I'm like, Jesus. And then so we were like, well, what about, would you like to meet the Queen? And her body and eyes just lit up. And it was this combination of like, are you serious? She was incredulous. She was fearful. She was
going to say
excited.
a little bit of fear.
It was all of this all in one. And we're like, yeah, we get to meet the Queen. She's like, oh, let's go. We couldn't get out of the door fast enough.
Yeah.
And we get there, and I feel like she was talking about the Queen on the car right there. And we walk in, and the Queen is this bigger than life character. The person playing the Queen was 6'2", with a big cape and just kind of flowing it out into the air, and
the attitude.
The attitude.
There. Yeah.
Let's just say they had some attitude, and Scotland was so nervous and excited. She would hide behind a wall and then jump out. And yeah, I get it. This dinner's overpriced. It's if you break it down, it's just some people in character costumes. But like we said, this is her meeting the actual Queen, who she's been a little bit afraid of her whole life. And so to watch that happen and to do that, and it's a fun dinner. The food was good.
Food was really good.
Really good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The pork. I had the pork.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah. Listen, Disney does a fantastic job at absolutely everything. From the moment you walk in to I'll give you an example, at the Wilderness Lodge, which is where the Snow White dinner is. I felt like I was in Yosemite. Then I go into the Snow White dinner, and I'm in Snow White's world. So they create this immersive experience, and I'm all in. I'm all in, and I'm all for it. And they just do such an impeccable job. And I remember you saying to me, I think you were surprised that I liked it, because you were like, oh, you're excited to go to Disney because you thought I was going to be like just the traveler that liked to go to these like far off places and wouldn't embrace Disney. But you can be both.
You can be both. Yeah. Well, I think up until we had a child, yeah, you would have been like, ugh. No,
I wasn't the Disney
park.
adult. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like any theme park before, you're like, why would we do that? Yeah. So I get it. Yeah. You can be both.
You turn into a mom or dad and then you're like crying in every commercial. You're embracing Disney. These are things that happen to you.
Were there anything that like would grind my gears? Like, I'm trying. The things that bothered me when we went in were
what grinds Scott's gears?
the security line. Like, we just didn't know. The mistake, we didn't realize it took so long to get in to the park. And that's the other thing is
We're learning.
If you stay at the park, like not only did it take time to get like to the parking lot, like it took us like 15 minutes to get into the parking lot. Then it was like the 15 minutes security, and then it was the boat. That was probably the only thing. I mean, once you know like the expense and you just kind of accept this is what we're spending. But
you're either staying at the park and spending for it, but you gain access in a different way, or you're saving money, but you're having to deal with being
traffic,
like herding cattle.
Yeah.
Like that's what I felt like. Like, all right, now we're being transported here. Now we're being transported there. And, it's hard not to get discouraged. I know you were getting a little frustrated, deep breaths.
No, not at all.
In the beginning.
I wasn't getting frustrated at all there.
But once you get in, it kind of dissolves.
It does.
Yeah.
And I think too, to have fun, do not think about it as like, I need to get my nearly $400 worth of fun today. Because you're not going to like be able to add up over the time. Like, just
easier said than done.
Yeah. And that's really hard. And that's some of the reason why people are like, why would I take my toddler there? I'm only getting a few hours. And I can understand that. It's like, if it doesn't fit in your budget, like don't do it. But if you can, I mean, and you really want to, have fun, like do the tickets and try to optimize your day. Like, try not to waste time, but you don't have to see everything. And there will be things you're not going to see.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. We just barely scratched the surface. I think we're understanding that hopefully we'll be able to go back again at a later date with 2 kids, which will be even crazier.
The bigger stroller.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of strollers. So here's a tip for you. You can rent a stroller, or you can get a stroller at Disney. Just bring your own. The strollers there are kind of shoddy. You're going to want to bring your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would be like the top 3 rides that people should try to hit with a toddler?
Oh, I was going to say.
Or top 3 activities, I guess.
Figment.
Oh, Figment was fun.
Figment was really fun. That was at Epcot.
Yeah.
And that was a ChatGPT recommendation, actually.
Yeah.
And it was Figment's Imagination, I think was the name of the ride. And it was just a wonderful, you're all sitting together. A toddler can be on it, a baby can be on it, a pregnant chick can be on it. And you ride through, and it's just like it's so fun and imaginative and interactive, and yeah.
It's what do they call it? Like a 4D ride. Yeah, that was cool.
Fun. What about you? Oh, no, you asked me the other.
Yeah, the top 3, yeah.
Oh, the top 3. I think Dumbo's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a classic. We did it the first time we went to Disney, and we did it the second. And she actually remembered the first time as well. So I really liked Dumbo. And then there's something fun about the teacups. There's something nostalgic about them, bringing them back to your youth, even though our daughter wouldn't let us rotate the teacup at all.
She was very upset about that. Very particular. Yeah, I think Figment was definitely number 1. Dumbo's great. It's a Small World's a classic.
It is a classic.
I mean, it's just a classic. It's whatever. It's a boat ride.
But the amount of work that went into that ride, wow.
Yeah.
And it's so old.
We didn't get to try Elsa.
No.
So we don't know how that is.
We went to Norway and we met her, but we didn't get to go on the ride.
Yeah, that was tough. Yeah, Figment was definitely really cool. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
There's quite a few rides that a toddler can do.
Yes, absolutely. And again, if they're under the age of 3, they're riding for free. So talk about the Lightning Pass and how you're able to acquire that and what it is.
Well, I mean, the Lightning Pass, the price is different on each park. And I'm trying to figure out what it ranges, but like let's just call a rough ballpark of like an extra $50 to $100 a day.
Per person?
It was like, no, collectively, I think.
So for two.
For two. Then I could be wrong. But basically, Lightning Pass gets you to the front of the line, so you don't have to wait for rides. However, it's not like this golden ticket where you just get to keep going to the front of the line. And I think there's actually like multiple levels of different Lightning Passes. So we just had like the first level. And what you get is they pretty much have like a premier level of rides. So like at each park, they'll have like 3 or 4 rides where it's like you get to pick one of these and you get to reserve a time. Now also, if you're not booking your trip ahead of schedule, like if you're only a week or 2 out, you may not get the ride. So for example, the Elsa and Anna, we only got a slot at like 8:30 p.m. So we're home putting her to bed at that point. Yeah. So we didn't get a ride for that, for example. So, but if you're booking way out, this is something that you want to do is you want to, get your tickets and everything, but then also you need to start booking your rides. This is the thing with Disney, like everything is scheduled out. So you book those, one of those top 3, and then you have a list of all the others where you can pick slots, and they're like hour slots. And then what you can do is after you go on those rides, you can just go back into your app and look for another open slot. And so if it's not too busy of a park, you can just keep signing up for different rides.
When you say open your app, you mean
the Disney app. Yeah, and this is, there's a Disney app that's different from Disney Plus, which is their streaming service, that has all this information, and they'll be happy to take your money if you want to buy the Lightning Pass. But when it comes to a toddler, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's one of those things where like you kind of just have to put it into the price of the ticket, because if you're looking at this as like an energy conservation, like sitting in line, there's nothing worse than a toddler for half an hour, 40 minutes being like, I'm done. I want to go, because they don't fully get this line thing. And
that's how we feel too, though.
Yeah, like we feel the same way. And, the one thing we waited the longest for was Elsa and Anna. And yeah, we were like, we're ready to get out of this thing as well.
Yeah, she was breaking down.
And
I don't blame her.
Yeah. So that's going to be tough. It is, more money that you have to spend. But then that when you go to a ride, you're basically waiting like max 5 minutes to just pretty much walk right in and hop on the ride. And so then you're not just standing in line the whole time. So it's really nice.
Absolutely worth it, I thought.
I'm actually curious of all the different levels of the Lightning Pass.
Oh, man. I mean, I thought what we did was great for what we're doing. I think if you have older kids and you're going to be going on more rides, then you probably have to step it up.
Yeah, there was I feel like there was like another upgrade. Like you could be like, oh, if you really want to do this ride, you could pay more. But I didn't get into it. So yeah, there's Disney has more ways to take money, and it's I feel like it's a little complicated. But at least once you get into Lightning Pass, like spend the time making yourself familiar with it. It's not that complicated. And if you can plan ahead of time, then your day will be nice. And if you so that gives you, 3 or 4 rides to pick from. Mm-hmm. For a toddler, like if you get up in the morning and maybe there's no lines, and you can go right to the front, you could easily get like 4 or 5 rides, and that's quite a bit.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think you also talked about, if you have the time to book out. And I think most people are booking way further in advance than we did. This was a very last minute trip trying to figure out, can we travel one more time before I give birth? And so it was very last minute. I mean, we booked it like a week out. So let's talk about things that you have to book well in advance. I mean, to get a reservation at a hotel in the park that's somewhat affordable, and I mean like the lower cost ones, you're doing this months in advance, really, because these hotels book out so far in advance. I mean, we had a friend that was trying to look for lodging, I think 3 months out, and they were having a hard time finding things under $1,000 a night.
In the park.
In the park.
Yeah.
And then also when we talk about these Disney dining character experiences, those book 60 days out. Now, things open up. There are some cancellation policies, but the cancellation policy is very flexible on most of them, minus, I think, Cinderella and maybe a couple others. So you're going to want to book those hot ticket items 60 days out, especially if you're going on like Christmas or spring break. when the travel is up. So yeah, just plan out as much as possible. I know it's not always possible, but make those reservations. You can cancel them in the future. We do that a lot, like where if it's a free cancellation, make the reservation, book it, and then make your final decision later.
Well, the Mouse Dining app, which is just through a website, Mouse Dining, that's the amazing way to get reservations. Both times we've gone, there were no character reservations when we first looked or to the places we wanted to go. Mm-hmm. But through the Mouse Dining app, where you basically say, on Tuesday, I would like an evening reservation, and it'll send you an email.
Is it an app or a website? It's just a website, right?
It's a website. Yeah. We were able to get access to basically all of them except the Cinderella.
So share with everybody what Mouse Dining is.
Mouse Dining is basically just that. So you put in requests for reservations for the character dining.
And it scrubs.
And it scrubs, and it says, hey, this popped up. Would you like to make it or not? And you just click on it. It takes you right to your app.
Yeah.
And they do have a paid tier.
They do.
But, I mean, you don't have to pay. You can basically get...
You get, I think, it's 3 or 5 free dining alerts.
For most people, it's plenty.
It's alerting you when something becomes available instead of having to check the Disney app every day or go on the website to see, like, is this available? Is this one available? Is this one available? You put in, like, your 3 to 5 desired dining experiences, and it sends you an email alert when something comes available. Then you go in and you book it, and you get your dining experience. And we did that, I think, for almost every experience.
Yes, and it's a lifesaver to say the least.
Yeah.
Disney is just such an amazing place.
It really is.
It's cool to watch the history and then to see all the growth, and there's so much to do.
Yeah, and we went to 2 parks. We went to Magic Kingdom and Epcot. And last time we went to Animal Kingdom, but we've never been to Hollywood Studios.
We have not been to Hollywood
Studios. We got to go next time.
Yes, it's just, I mean, the magic, the technology, how they keep building it. It is, that's the whole, they build such an amazing product, but it is so expensive.
I know. And that's so cost prohibitive. And I think for me personally, I think it's important to do with the kids. And I'm like, it's a $5,000 trip. I could go to Thailand for way less than that and live like a queen, you know? So it's hard when you're comparing, but
what's more important, the rides and attractions or the feeling of wonder between the parents and the child?
The feeling of wonder.
And I think it's something to remember that, like,
that's what makes the lasting impact. Of course, the rides are fun. They're so fun.
Yeah, but I think
it's a shared experience.
Yeah, as you go into this, there's so much to do. Your list will never end. And just realize, like, the whole point of this is for us to go as a family and have fun.
Right. It's not just to check off things on a list.
And sometimes it's you're walking and there's a playground or a concert. We haven't even talked about, like, when you see the concerts at the castle.
Oh,
like, you walk
in the Magic Kingdom.
So Magic Kingdom, you walk down Main Street and you're walking towards the castle, and you've just, for us, it was like we had to drive to the park, get through security. Dad was having a bit of a moment, but then you walk in and you're still, like, kind of in a crowd and you feel like salmon a bit. And then you make it to the castle, and if you're there at the right time, which is almost all the time, there's a concert going on, and it's all the big hitters. It's Mickey, it's Minnie, it's Rapunzel, it's Elsa, and our daughter is watching this, and it's to her that is Elsa, and they make it look like Elsa makes it snow, and
she's been talking about that since then.
Yeah, she's like, Elsa made it snow. Yeah, and so it's.
So cute.
It's things like that are not part of the Lightning Pass, that are not, trying to hit the rides or the character dinners. Like, that's the park. That is just, and that's what makes Disney special as well. Like, you get so caught up in the box checking and the to-do list, but you also get distracted. And that's what you should do. You should allow yourself to just float around, because there's a lot of great things to see.
Yeah, it's its own ecosystem, right? Like, you're walking through, you're fully believing that this is main street of this Disney Magic Kingdom town. And then there's performers and that are like coming in, and then there's like an ice cream parlor, and then the show is in front of you. And at night, Tinkerbell actually shows up at the show.
Yeah.
She flies in.
So for for parents with, going for the first time, did we hit everything? Did we tell them? I mean, basically it's like, hey, there's going to be times where there's going to be meltdowns. You're going to have a meltdown. Your kids are going to have meltdowns. But I think, trying to plan as much as you can. You won't be perfect. Like,
have an idea. I like a rough itinerary.
Have a rough itinerary. Understand that you're not going to hit everything. Parents, you almost need to have like a team meeting beforehand and probably during, like same team.
Yep.
And one of you is going to be Timmy the tourist.
Clark Griswold.
Want to hit everything. Like, pull back the reins a little bit.
Scott.
I don't know what you're talking about. The snacks are huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's for everybody.
Blood sugar, you got to keep that up.
Sorry for what I said when I was hungry.
Yeah. And understand, like, you're not going to hit everything, and that's okay. Like, I'm telling this, I think I'm talking to myself.
You're talking to yourself,
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, we're not going to hit everything. All right, it's okay.
Yeah. And it is going to be expensive, but it'll be okay. It'll be unforgettable, and you'll take tons of pictures. Mm-hmm. Oh, and if you are kind of a techie nerd like me, something that's really fun to do is to buy the DJI mini mics that are like the size of a quarter, snap it on your toddler and plug it into your phone, and then you get to record the audio of when they're talking to the princesses. So, you're probably just standing away as they have this interaction with Elsa or Anna, but now you can actually hear them in their little whispers and their funny comments. Like when she met Princess Aurora, who, if you don't recall the story, she touches the spindle and falls asleep.
In Sleeping Beauty. So Scotland went up to her and was like, don't touch the spindle.
And even Princess Aurora was caught off guard by that one.
She was like, oh, no, I won't touch it.
Yeah.
And she told Snow White not to eat the apple.
Yeah, so.
It's classic. But yeah, don't clip this on your wife when she's hungry. Take this thing off. Not that I would know that.
Have fun. Go back. Watch the movies. It's amazing. So
yeah, and Orlando itself is so massive. So I think staying at the park or as close to the park as possible is really key. We actually, the first time we went was we stayed in an RV, which was really cool. Yeah. I thought at the campground.
Are there any things that's not park related, like the Lightning Pass, the tickets, the hotel, that people could purchase that's not too expensive that would make the trip easier?
Oh, that's not too expensive? I was going to say bring a grandparent. I don't know.
That's true. That's true. A grandparent. I would think the things that come to mind are probably a stroller. Like our travel stroller is really nice.
Oh, I love our travel stroller.
That's not really cheap. But the butterfly stroller is nice.
Yeah.
You'll probably want a backpack if you don't have the stroller. Some type of
what to bring. I thought you said what to buy.
Well, your purchase you can make to bring or buy some piece of tool that would help. Like,
yeah, and I think also the stroller is clutch because you can put your cooler underneath it.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of carrying it for you.
Yeah, if you either buy a cooler or bring a cooler.
Comfortable shoes.
Comfy shoes.
For sure.
Sunblock. Don't forget sunblock.
Oh, yeah. We had to purchase some expensive sunblock in the park.
Even the person selling it to me was like, this is expensive.
You're like, thanks, rub it in.
Like, yeah. Give it to me for free, please.
Yeah, I think coming prepared like that, like bring a change of clothes for your kid, wear comfortable clothing, bring sunscreen, bring a jacket just in case, check the weather.
Yeah.
In case it rains. We did get some rain one day. Have fun, bring an open mind. This is magic. It's pure magic.
So we'll definitely have more shows or podcasts about Disney in the future. I know it. So, all right. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you're learning from and or enjoying this podcast, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. These are great free ways to support this podcast. Also, please subscribe to this podcast on both Spotify and Apple. On both of those platforms, you can leave us up to a 5-star review, which would help us out greatly. Please also check out the sponsors mentioned in today's episode. That's the best way to support this show. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please put those in the comment sections in YouTube. And yes, we do read all the comments.